See, yep.
Live from PATV Studios, it's the Lyle Style Show. And now, the man with the most style, it's your host, Lyle Style.
Welcome to another edition of the Lyle Style Show. I'm here with me, Lyle Style. We have a wonderful guest on the show. I've been trying to get her on the show for a while. Her name is Rebecca Grant, and she has a memoir out, a book called Memoir of a Coach's Wife. A Coach's Wife. That's the name of her book that she has out, and I'm reading it right here. And I want to welcome to the show, Miss Grant. Thank you.
Thank you, Lyle.
We've been talking for a while. You're getting on the show, doing things and whatnot. You've been doing a lot of tours about the book and stuff like that. Fascinating read. You've been all over California, Chicago, promoting your book and stuff like that. Now, quickly, let's get a little bit about you, a little background about you, so the viewers can know.
Okay, Lyle. Yes, well, born and raised in Cedar Rapids, so I am an Iowan. So I have 4 children, which I love dearly. They're my joy. My roots are right here, upbringing. I have seen so much within the city of Cedar Rapids, and Iowa City have grown since then, and how it is a remarkable place to live and raise a family.
Oops, the book fell. Yes, okay, yeah, and so you born and raised in Iowa, Cedar Rapids and stuff. Now, you have quite a background about what you've been through, your struggles and whatnot and stuff like that. So, I kind of want to go into a little bit about what you, in the book, it talks about a little bit about how you've been, in different relationships, and you've been in multiple situations to kind of, set you back, whatever. What I'm talking about as far as the different guys or whatever, and how you survived all that craziness. To tell the viewers quickly, about a little bit about what you've kind of been through, because the book is fascinating.
Thank you. Well, Lyle, I've been through abusive relationship, and out of that relationship, it made me stronger. And especially when I met the love of my life, James Grant, who was a track coach here at the University of Iowa, who passed away in 2007. He was the pillar. He taught me so much, and he taught me how to be even stronger. Through the ordeal, after my husband passed away in 2007, I went through a lot. And one day I just decided to sit down at the computer and start writing about a tragedy I went through.
Okay. Could you kind of explain what type of tragedy was it?
Well, my husband, like I said, James Grant was the coach at the University of Iowa, died of cancer in 2007.
He was a track coach?
Yes, he was a track coach,
Okay.
yes. His roots he's from Jamaica. His roots is from Jamaica. He served here at the University of Iowa for 23 years as a track coach. And he was battling cancer for 2 years before his passing. James Grant was not only a father, but a husband and a lovable person, and people loved him, not only here in Iowa, but abroad. What can I say about my husband? And I can say so much, but he was a wonderful man. And during his tragedy, and people ask me, why did I write the book, A Sticky Web of Vengeance, Memoir of a Coach's Wife? It's the story of James and Rebecca Grant. It talks about our love life. It talks about how we met. But most of all, what it talks about is some crazy, evil things that took place in 2007. And involved the University of Iowa Hospital, some staff there, and also involved the athletic department, some staff there, and it also involved some outsiders. And it was all about greed, money.
The love of money, root of all evil.
That's right, root of all evil.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not know this was happening to me until it smacked me in the face, what they were doing. My husband was, and I make a long story short, July 5th, July 4th, 2007, I called hospice, Iowa City Hospice, to come out, one of the nurses come out, because my husband was very combative and kind of, his mind was playing tricks on him. And so Reverend Pastor Lyle, who was a pastor at Bethel AME Church at the time here in Iowa City, also came out, and the Iowa City Hospice nurse came out, and my husband didn't want her to check him over or anything, and he was, so she pretty much left. I talked to his doctor, Dr. Clayman, and told him what was going on. Dr. Clayman is one of the oncology doctors at the University of Iowa, and he told me just to keep him posted. Well, July 5th, 2007, my husband woke up, which he walked the floors all night long. His days and nights was mixed up, and he was very combative. And he pulled a knife out on us, he threw water, and when I say us, me and my kids. I was trying to fix his food, and he just pulled a knife, and I called the hospital. But why he pulled a knife? Because I called Dr. Clayman, and I was telling him how he's walking all night, and he got into his medication, and didn't really know what was going on with him, and Dr. Clayman said, get him to the hospital. So I called Pastor Dow to help, and he said he did not want to go back to University of Iowa Hospital and clinics. He felt they were going to kill him.
What?
And that was his mind playing tricks. So Pastor Dow got over there, he pulled my youngest daughter outside. At the time, she was 6, and wouldn't let her go. And he just screaming and just out of it. So Pastor Dow came along, and he talked Jimmy to let her go, and we got Jimmy in the house, got him showered up and dressed, and took him to the hospital. As he arrived at the hospital, they did an x-ray and said he had less than maybe 2 weeks to a month to live.
Oh, wow, it was serious.
Yes, due to a blood clot that had broken off from his leg and had traveled.
Oh,
and they believe that it affected the brain. Also, he was at the hospital. He's very combative. When I say combative, it wasn't like he was fighting anyone, but he was very confused. That later on that night, I went home. I had to get a call from the hospital where he pulled out his IV. Blood was all over the room, the bed, the gown. The nurses said they could not control him, so I had to go up there and wash him up. I had to go up there and I actually give him his medicine because he wouldn't let the nurses give him his medicine, change his clothes. And he was a very modest man. Every time he went to the hospital, he didn't let no other woman touch him but me. I had to go help him get dressed and bathe or whatever I needed to do. Well, the next day, July 6th, I had a fever. So I went up there to see him, met Pastor Dow up there, and I brought him some Burger King. And I told him I was going to go home and lay down. I was pretty wore out. Been taking care of him for some months, and his days and nights mixed up. And I was the only one taking care of him. I'm the only one that went to his doctor's appointments. I'm the only one been there through everything. Me and my young children that try to help as much as they could at the time. And Lyle, those 3 days I was at home sick, my whole life was turned upside down.
Wow.
Dr. Clayman brought in a doctor named Michelle T. Wickman, who is a psychiatrist at the University of Iowa. And she took upon herself to take over. And she pushed his team of doctors that has been taking care of for him for the past months and years out of the picture. Dr. Clayman said Michelle T. Wickman pushed him out of the picture.
Why is that? Why did that happen?
That's something you have to ask the University of Iowa Hospital and Clinics. Why did that happen? Why did she take over and push his primary doctors out of the picture? I do not know. Still trying to figure out these answers 9 years later. And during that process, she was listening to outsiders. When I say outsiders, people that was not involved in his care, people that did not live with us, people that did not have his best interests. But they had their own interests.
Oh, so she wouldn't involve you involved. She wouldn't get you involved or come and talk to you about what was going on about your own husband.
That's correct, about my own husband. She never called me. She never picked the phone, asked me any questions, email, nothing. And during this process, I learned that there was a lawyer that came up there and talked to my husband named Joseph T. Moreland, this Greg Fender that lives here in town, my husband's son, estranged son, Jamie Grant. And during this process, they were putting all this stuff together that I didn't know anything about. Now, remind you, I was his wife. I was his power attorney, and that is also in the medical records, and my husband also told him that. But no one never got in touch with me about anything. All this was covered up. During the process, July 11, 2007, I get a call for the first time I heard from this Michelle T. Wickman, told me about a meeting that she wanted me to come to. Me and my two girls went up there, and she said, well, the meeting was about, so when my husband go home, what to expect. Well, it was the strangest thing. A nurse come out of behind the station and said, well, I'll take the girls to the lounge. I said, no, they always go see their, their stepdad, and why do you take them to the lounge? She said, oh, well, because of the meeting. So during the process, I looked down by my husband's bed. There was a purse sitting there, Lyle. I said, whose purse is that? My husband said, he didn't know.
Okay.
His ex-wife, Janet Richardson, flew in town, and that was a purse. She walked in, her and Jamie, and I was shocked.
So you didn't know nothing about this?
No, and I asked my husband, what was she doing here? Now, remind you, this is a woman that my husband despitefully did not care for. This woman, he stalked him. She did all kinds of things to him. She showed up at our house back in, I want to say April 2007, her and her daughter and her niece. And he was like really shocked, and she claimed she was there visiting, but she was there to see how ill he was.
Oh, okay.
Found out later on that his daughter Suzette sent her there to check and see, but I still didn't understand. Well, anyway, as we went to this meeting, in that meeting was Greg Fender, Janet Richardson, Victor Houston was assistant coach at the time from Barbados, Dr. Wickman, Dr. Berg, nurse from hospice, and another nurse. And during the process, I sat there in the meeting, and I could not believe, Lyle, what I heard. They told me that my husband will not be going back with me, that my house was not safe for him to go back to. I'm like, really? They said that he will be staying at Victor Houston's house. As I sat there, my husband was reading on an index card. Number one, someone wrote this for him, wasn't his handwriting. Divorce me, his wife, Rebecca. And they said Becky at the time. And number two, Janet Dewar, power attorney. And number three, Greg, executor. All this was wrote down. Now, remind you, my husband was a very private man. He did not trust his ex-wife, not even with his life. He wouldn't even eat nothing that she would bring to him.
So all this is about his ex-wife, though?
Well, it wasn't really about his ex-wife, because the ex-wife never had kids about him, but she had revenge. She was always angry from what he told me, because he divorced her and he did not want to have anything to do with her. So I think this was her payback time. And let me say this, in April, let me go back, April 2007, when she showed up at the house, she brought a suitcase, and I'm like, wow. Now, she brought a suitcase. Now, remind you, she wanted to take us out to dinner. And I said, no, thank you. I'm going to take my kids to Pizza Ranch. I promised taking them to Pizza Ranch. They did pretty good in school. So I told my husband, why don't you go ahead with her daughter and her niece? And he's like, no, no, no. I said, go ahead, it's okay. I mean, it's time to make amends. We knew he was dying, and me being a Christian person I am, it's time to make amends, whatever happened between you and her.
Yeah.
Well, he come back pretty upset, and he wasn't supposed to be driving, remind you, because he'd get lost.
Okay, so he is moving around and can kind of go back and forth. He wasn't like in the bed all the time. Whatever.
Pretty much. He was in the bed. He was, for the past few months or so, 2 to 3 months, my husband wasn't even going into the office because he had bad migraines all the time, and found out he had over 20-something tumors in his head.
Oh, wow.
So Dr. Clayman, back in February, March, he couldn't drive anymore. So during that time, my husband went with them to eat at Pizza Ranch. He come back very upset. He said, now she offered to take me, but he had to end up paying for their food.
Oh, wow.
And so I said,
That's kinda...
So the strange thing, I said, well, I don't know how you Jamaicans do it, but there's a suitcase here at the door. I know she's not staying here. So we opened up the suitcase, and there was all this Jamaican food in there. He said, took it straight to the back door, threw it in the trash, and said, she would not voodoo me. So all this what I'm
all
talking.
all that's in the book, though.
All this what I'm talking about is in the book, so they can understand. I don't want to give everything away, but these people took me through a lot. And so one reason why I wrote this book is for Iowans and people around the world to understand that this could happen to you. If you leave your significant other at any hospital, but mine's happened at the University of Iowa Hospital, make sure that you leave someone there that you trust if you're ill, or leave someone there that is not going to take advantage of your dying loved one.
Now, what did he die of? Was it cancer he had, or was it?
Well, Lyle, you know what? I go back and I ask myself, did he really die of cancer, or did they kill him?
Well, that's the mystery
So
right there.
did they kill him?
Oh, that's the mystery. Well,
So because he was not in my care, he was at Victor Houston's house in a little small room, and I would not treat him like that. They took his food away from him. He did not want to die like that. And for Dr. Wickman to say that, oh, well, he could say this, he could say that. My husband had been confused for so many months. I bathed him, I fed him, I dressed him, I held him when he was crying.
Yeah.
I walked with him. I drove him back and forth to his appointments. He could not think for himself. I did it all for him, and I've been doing it for months. We kept it a secret because he did not want the media to know any of this. Even his boss, Paula Jantz, them did not know how bad it was.
Oh, wow.
None of them. But during this process, Lane Anderson, who took my husband's place, he also got involved from these evil people, helping him get involved. He came over, asked me for my husband's wallet and stuff. Victor Houston showed up at my door, wanted wallet and checkbook. This Janet Richardson, the ex-wife, was sending them over there for these things. Now, remind you.
The ex-wife.
Yeah, my husband.
It seemed like it kind of goes right back to the ex-wife.
Right. It seemed like, well, the ex-wife was helping the kids, I found out later, and herself. So they wanted to find out where his assets was. Why this ex-wife was here, the benefit office called, where she showed up at the benefit office to try to see where his assets was, and they turned her away. Greg Fender now and this ex-wife, while my husband was in the hospital, also tampered with the U.S. mail and had my mail and my husband's mail. Now, not my husband's signature, did it while he was in the hospital on July 12th. He got out on the 13th, had his mail rerouted to Victor Houston's house. During this process, they stole my income tax check, they went through my mail and did everything. Ron Jewell at the post office know this. He did nothing about it. He said, Ron Jewell, his words, when I showed up there about a year ago with Dietrich Doolin, the NAACP president, also Carl Cassell, who was the civil rights commissioner in Cedar Rapids at the time. Well, we went to talk to Ron Jewell. Why did he do anything back then? And he told us this. It's okay for someone to go through your mail and open it, long as they give it back. Dietrich said, hold a minute. Carl said, hold a minute. Have you ever heard that?
I've never
Have you
heard
heard that, Lyle?
No.
Yes, and his boss was right there on the phone listening in a conference call from Des Moines. But that's what he says. He said, oh, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I said, so they stole my tax check and held it where I had to get another? He said, there's nothing wrong with them. Open up your mail.
No.
Or nothing wrong with someone going in North Liberty Post Office. My understanding, Greg Fender and this ex-wife, Jenna Richardson, went in the post office and said that they were Mr. and Mrs. Grant and changed our mail. They went directly in the post office.
Okay.
Ron Jewell said there's nothing wrong with that as well.
What? Oh, no. I've never, well, you know what? That's really weird because I've never heard of anything like that happen before in my life. And I think that if that's the case, then that's a fraud, really.
Well, you know what? Actually, I'm glad you said it.
Because no one can, if I have my mail, that's government, and there's a mailbox, so it's really, federal, and so no one can. That's the case. If you put the money in there, anybody can go ahead and open your mail, take the money out, close it, seal it back, and then whatever, and it's legal. No, but it's not legal. It's not legal to anybody tamper with anybody's mail.
So what you're saying that what Ron Jewell said is not the gospel?
No, it's not legal. Everybody knows that it's not
Ron
legal.
Jewell at the Cedar Rapids Post Office, he's the postal inspector, said it's legal.
I understand that, but that's something's wrong with that scenario because that's a federal offense right there because it's with the United States Post Office, and they're obligated to make sure your mail is taken care of and sent to the right place. That's any human being on this planet with the government, you know, because that's then if that was legal, then it'd be no one would be using the post office. We wouldn't have mail because people would be too scared to mail stuff, thinking someone's going to tamper it, and it's cool. So yeah, no, my personal opinion, I don't think it is, but.
Well, I did talk to a lady named Mary Lawrence. Mary Lawrence Bias that worked at the post office. She said the same thing you said. It was fraud. She did not understand why Ron Jewell wasn't doing anything about it. Clearly showed where a lot of my mail that went to this attorney Joseph Moreland's office, they was taking my mail to attorney Joseph Moreland. During the process, they seen that I was getting my husband's bulk of life insurance policies and everything. Joseph Moreland, now being an attorney here in Iowa City, also upheld them in their wrong when this mail was addressed to me.
Okay.
And then they gave it to my attorney, gave it back to me what I did get back. Some of it I didn't get back because I didn't get my state income tax check back. And Mayor Lawrence told him, said, hey, this is wrong, they can't be doing this.
Right.
But Ron Jewell never did anything about it. I don't know if he was, like he said, helping cover up for the University of Iowa, because these people was involved, because you had two coaches, Victor Houston and Lane Anderson, that was involved in this tangled web of mess. Victor went to my husband's athletic department and stole private information out of there to show where my husband's benefits were and how much he was getting. Gave it to the ex-wife. He admitted that Janet Richardson told him to do this, and he went and got it, and it's all in the deposition that I read.
Right, wow.
And Lane Anderson, what he was doing was putting stuff on the web, said that my husband, and you can go on the web, said he survived by his 5 kids, but didn't mention me as his wife when he was at the wedding.
Oh, wow.
So they're trying to take me out of the picture to get my husband's money. My husband had 5 kids.
So money is always the root of the.
My husband had 5 kids. He wasn't close to these kids at all, and there were 5 kids that he always had doubts that he was a celebrity. I'm just going to put it out there. He was a celebrity that had 5 kids.
Everybody knew him.
That about 5 different women, and back then. He married one of the kids' mother, and one daughter he didn't meet, Suzette, till she's like 8 or 10 years old.
Right.
He always wondered if these was his kids. Not that he did not love them or deny them, but you know, they didn't come to Iowa to visit him. They came, like I said, 3 of the girls, Suzette, Flora Marie, and Aisha came in May for the first time after he'd been here 20-something years. Suzette used to live with him, then she left here and never came back. And they were here looking for money. They admitted it. He told them that he was not giving them anything. And that was the saddest part. So all this what took place, they took my husband from me. He died at Victor's house.
Wow.
And my question is, when I seen him, Dr. Wickman let me go over and see him, and I had to be supervised to see my own husband, thanks to Dr. Wickman.
Wow.
Not only did I used to work in the lab and was a certified nursing assistant, but she said I wasn't equipped to take care of my husband.
Wow.
I see that he was heavily drugged. The ex-wife Janet stood over me, didn't want me there. And so those are the questions why I say loud. Did they kill my husband, or did he really die of the cancer?
Yeah, and this is all in the book that you wrote with me.
It's all in the book, yes.
Okay, my question is, have you had any closure by writing this book? Have you had any closure through you writing this book, this memoir? Has it helped you in any way?
Well, you know what? It has helped me to get the story out there for awareness, but I still want to know what happened. I did receive a letter, and I'm at the share it to you, from the University of Iowa Hospital this past year, from the upper head, as well as from Inspection and Appeals. The Board of Medicine, Inspection, and also the Board of Medicine did reopen it, the case upon the wrongdoing of what these doctors did. And also the hospital did admit that during my husband's care, they did make some changes back then, what took place.
Through your experience then.
Through my experience, they did make changes, and they did apologize. But you know what? They need to make it clear. They need to make it right. And Dr. Wickman said she did a test of my husband, his mental status. She never did that on my husband. And they still have this woman working there. So what bothers me is, I still want to know the truth. Why did they do all this without coming to talk to the wife There is a thing in the medical, there is a code in the medical field where patient confidentiality, if you tell the doctor something, they don't have to necessarily come back and tell me as the wife, but they could just ask some questions instead of pushing the wife or the husband totally out of the picture. And that's something they did not do at the time.
Wow. It's very interesting. I mean, you are a survivor.
Thank you.
You are a survivor, young lady. You are a smart woman. I hate that you have to go through something like this, you know. So maybe this could be a stepping stone for other people, other women, you know, this situation to realize, you know, that you survive and what to look for and what not to look for.
Well, it's true, and I wouldn't say other women, but people in general. It could happen to you. You could take your significant wife up there, and the same thing could. Well, I'm just saying, you could take, and the same thing could happen to you. It could be your girlfriend, anybody. Yeah. So when I walk down, and you know, it's been hard for me to go to University of Iowa Hospital because I get very emotional for what happened to me. I tried to go up there recently to drop off a person that needs to go up there and have some medical care. When I walk in that hall, it's like I can't breathe.
Anxiety.
Because the memories and the anger comes back. So I'm just saying, Iowans and anybody that's watching this show, be aware, and I hope that this do not happen to anyone you love, what happened to me.
Well, I hope by you doing this, coming on shows and whatnot, because I know you did a lot of things to California, Chicago, different talk shows, and getting the word out with your book. And it's a good read, very interesting. You're a survivor of a lot of different things, and you are a strong woman now. And so I commend you for you being strong and you taking care of your kids. Your kids are doing good. So I really commend you for what you're doing. So,
and you mentioned to me, Lyle, about what I'm doing now.
Yes.
And I know you mentioned me when I talked to you before. What I'm doing now, I'm an activist, and I actually, I'm trying to work, I'm working in communities. I'm with a group called One Strong, pushing out, trying to address the crime and stuff that's going on in Cedar Rapids. And talking to the young people and trying to stir them down the right path. And also trying to work with the local authorities there, that everybody's on the same page. So that's what I've been doing pretty much on my time is, and also working on writing a spinoff from this one.
Oh, really?
Who killed James Grant? Yes.
That's going to be. It might be a whole series of these books that come out. But you know, it's a good read, and I hope people realize they can, you know, where they can get your books on Amazon.com and you know,
Create Space.
Create Space.
And you can also get it at the library. You also can get it at Barnes & Noble, and you can also get it at the only African American museum in the state of Iowa, and that's in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Wow, wonderful thing. And yes.
And they can also look, excuse me, Lyle, but they can also look at this review on East County Magazine in San Diego. Remember I told you I was down there for that? So they can also look at that review as well.
Okay, great. So that people can know who you are and whatnot. Hey, Rebecca, thank you for even coming on the show and doing this and telling your story. This is what it's all about, coming on, telling your story, let people know your struggle, what you've been through, but you're a survivor. The positive things is that you survived and you're doing good and you're a better person through all your struggles or whatever. So I commend you again and thank you, you know, for doing this, and maybe come back on the show and give another books out.
Oh, maybe I might be back sooner. You never know.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because we are going to do the show. We're talking about relationships, and you probably know about relationships. We're going to be talking about. I did say I want to do a show talking about Black love and relationships and single African American women and men out there and things they go through. So you could definitely be a guest on that one because you know all about that. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, you know about that. But I want to say to everybody out there, you know, out there to watch the Lyle Style Show, thank you, people on the YouTube, people out there. Thank y'all for tuning in to my show on YouTube. I appreciate that. Catch me on YouTube. The show airs on YouTube. Also, catch me out on Facebook, Lyle Harris on Facebook. And I do have Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I love pictures on there. I do little photo shoots, whatever. Check me out on Instagram and Twitter.
And they can also check me out on Facebook and RG7bookpublishing.com. Please look me up. Hope to hear from my readers, and please get out and get the book, A Sticky Web of Vengeance, Memoir of a Coach's Wife.
Amen.
It will enlighten you, and not only that, it will strengthen you with your faith, and it's just an extraordinary book, not because I wrote it, but because it's a book that will feed the soul.
Amen.
So get out there. And Lyle,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. I really enjoyed you.
You're a beautiful woman. I will kiss your hand, but am I doing that? Oh, I talk to her. But hey, I want to say, hey, thank y'all for another Lyle Style show. I appreciate her coming on the show. Hey, let's keep watching Lyle Style show. Remember, next time to always keep styling and profiling, and be nice to someone. Peace.